Good afternoon. Thanks everybody coming out. Just want to say that, it's not been the year that we've wanted, but things like that happen. As a coach, you got to go back and dissect, how can you get better? Look at the coach's weaknesses and strengthen those, and look at the players' weaknesses. And, injuries have been a major factor, but at the end of the day, we're not going to make excuses. We know this is a big game this week. This is bragging rights for Raleigh. They had a trophy. I want to have that trophy on my desk for a year and brag about it. And it's a major recruiting tool. Like I said, we haven't had the year that we wanted, but to gain advantage on recruiting, we must have a good, solid football game and be able to talk about the momentum going into next year.
Okay. Questions for Coach?
Yeah, Coach, Chris Clark here, CBS 17. I wanted to know about keeping the guys focused on the 11 guys across and not making this bigger than it really, it needs to be. I mean, you got the players, you got the juice, you got the, game plan. How do you keep them focused on the 11 and not making this bigger than that whole revenge thing we remember last year? Get into it kind of stuff.
Well, I don't think it's a problem. Like we talked about it yesterday. Just remember how we felt. Here's a chance to have one of the better records that Shaw's had in a long time. Instead of being 7-3, we went 6-4. And just looking at those guys' faces at the end, that part hurt. And I told those guys, just remember how you feel. And I still remember it. And we're gonna go out and play Shaw football, and we gotta, eliminate the mistakes, and we can't let them get in our heads, and we can't retaliate, and got to understand that it's very important that we get a win this week.
I wanted to ask you about, you talk about playing Shaw football. It seems like even though with, the way the score turned out last week, you've definitely gotten back to that. And it seems like if this is a squad that was the type of football that you wanted them playing 2 and 3 games ago, what was the biggest catalyst for getting back to that type? Because it's the same type of football I saw you guys playing against Bowie State as well. And it seems like you've righted the ship. What went into that the last couple of weeks for you to get them that way?
Well, just going back, looking at, we've not been very good at the quarterback play. We got to hang our hats on Andre Brandon and Sidney Gibbs, two of the better backs in the conference. We're pretty good offensive line wise. We got our guys back, and we just got to control the clock and just be who we are and hang our hat on defense. Defense didn't play as good as I wanted them to. They did get a couple big plays on us, but at the end of the day, one thing you can say about my football team, no matter what, we don't quit. And our guys played to the final whistle, and that's just a credit to my coaching staff and what we have built here. It hasn't been our year, but there's been no blowouts. There've been all close games. We've been always in the games. It just has not been our way, but you best believe I got all those notes written in my notebook, and I'm going to remember those things when next year gets here. But we just got to finish strong and have a good game plan.
Taking a little deeper dive into your opponent here at St. Aug, they've changed some things around at quarterback as well, as far as who's under center. Not quite for certain who's going to be out there with injury wise. What's your take on them? How do you prepare for that? Or is it easier just to prepare for the position and not put the person's name and their skills and abilities in there? Just quarterbacks over at St. Aug's, first off.
Yeah, we're not going to worry about who's going to be the trigger man, no different than when we played Fayetteville State. We didn't worry about the trigger man. We just worried about what they're going to do, what they like to do in their offense, formations, all that stuff. We're pretty good at dissecting. Whoever is playing quarterback, we got to get after them and keep all the offensive players in front of us and just play a sound football game and make sure that our seniors go out with a bang. Like you got Jaleel Stroggins, you got Tyrese Bobbitt, guys have been in our program for a long time. They help us win a lot of football games. Jaleel, piggyback on him, some of the things that he's been through since he's been here at Shaw, a lot of adversity. And I just want that young man and the other 8 or 9 seniors, I can't remember, it's not that many. I want them to go out with a win and make sure that we send them out on a bang. That's the most important thing for me.
You knocking out my list of questions here. I'm gonna keep on rolling. I appreciate it. As far as the identity of the St. Aug team, is it tougher to game plan for a squad that's still trying to find? I mean, they would throw the ball really well. Then the last couple of games, it seems like they've returned to running it between the tackles, trying to establish the run. Problem or not, or how much more difficult is it to prep for a squad like that?
Well, I'm gonna say it's difficult because it's a rival, and the record's out the door. It doesn't matter. They beat John C. Smith. We lost to John C. Smith, so we can't look at it going in that we are the better team. We have to be respectful and go in there and play football that we know how to play. They've had some problems as well, but at the end of the day, it's a rivalry. Records out the door. We got to go out there and be ready to play. And like I said, end the season on a good note and be able to hold that trophy. And I got that memory of hearing them guys say they run Raleigh. That's in the back of my head. And to their defense, they can say that, but at the end of the day, that doesn't make me feel any better. So I just want to make sure that we win this rival game and continue to hold those bragging rights.
Do understand that this year the game's up at Durham. I know that shared a field in the past. How much different? What even just mentally when you walk out there, because when you played last year on their field and you played them on their field, even though you may have been the home team, it didn't feel like that. How much different? How much better for you will it be to have them up at Durham County Memorial?
It's definitely home. I'm from Durham, so that's home for me. But to have our own field without a Falcon being in the middle of the field means a lot. Right now we only lost one game at home. Unfortunately we over on the road, so we look forward to being back home and playing in front of a home crowd. And we got to defend our home and get that victory. So it's definitely big that we have a place we call home.
You kind of hit on it earlier too with the guys you wanted to send out and how few that there really are. And earlier, how does this bode for the squad moving forward with so many players coming back with and how much would a victory do to catapult into next season for all of those guys coming back? You're losing a couple key pieces, but the majority of your squad is all going to be back next year.
Well, what's funny is Lynch was asking about our seniors, and I had to go down the roster, and I'm like, whoa! I text my coaches at 12 o'clock that night and was like, man, we only got nine seniors, and I didn't realize how young we were until I actually wrote that down. That's excellent. You got your top running backs back, you got 4 of your offensive linemen back, you got the majority of defense back. I mean, all of our receivers back. That's big. That's huge. And, that sheds some light on our future here. We expected it to be a big year this year, and for whatever reason, it wasn't. But going into the off season, doing a little recruiting, adding those little pieces to the puzzle is not much that we got to do to continue success here. So I'm excited about it. Only thing I don't like is that we got a long time to get back to this point where we're talking football. I hate that it's over early, but everything happens for a reason, and we're gonna get prepared. You're gonna get a little rest, get some things off my mind, relax, spend some time with family, and get back to work.
And the last thing I wanted to ask you about was I was talking to somebody about the rivalry portion of this, and they immediately looked at the records, and I was like, okay, you can't, rivalries can't look at this. And I was like, it's a proximity thing because they're both literally like miles from each other. I said, but a lot of these kids, you look, went down the list of the high schools that some played for, and you got similarities there. So they played against each other in high school. I said, it's that familiarity thing. What is it about this rivalry that makes it so intense to you, Coach?
What makes it so intense is that, we as Shaw Bears think that we are the team in Raleigh. Yes, they're right down the street. They have the trophy, but we still felt that we were the better team. Did they win the game? Absolutely. But we want to get that trophy back and put it back home where it needs to be, but it's not going to be an easy task. You know, Coach Bowser's going to have his guys ready. They're going to have a good game plan. And what's ironic is that no matter what our record is, everybody in this conference knows that we got a good football team. So we're going to get the best out of each and every team that we play. So I'm expecting to see St. Aug play their best game of the year against us on Saturday. So with that being said, we got to play our best game of the year as well.
Appreciate it, Coach. Look forward to seeing
Yes,
you up
sir.
there. Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, Coach, I got a couple questions for you as well. One of the things that stands out about St. Aug is that they have really struggled on defense to the tune that they give up so many points. They're like dead last in Division II. And I understand it's a rivalry, but also, you know, looking at the numbers here, how do you expect to kind of establish an offense that kind of keeps them kind of off balance? Because that seems to be how teams have been able to really score against them. And you've had some real struggles in the past game, the last couple games. So how do you intend to establish a little bit of the balance to really help that run game that you have?
Well, we're going to continue to work. You know, we're going to figure out some things. Like you said, there are some loopholes in their defense, and we got to expose that. We got to make sure we do a good job of calling plays, and like you said, being a balance. And when I say balance, it doesn't have to be 50-50. It could be 60% run, 40% pass, but we're going to have to throw the ball. We can't go 7 for 20 for how many yards we had last week and expect to win football games. We got to do better than that. You know, a trigger man has to be smarter, has to make good decisions. You know, it's just not been the greatest this year, and we expect it to be better than what we are. But at the end of the day, like you said, we're going to have to expose some of the things that they don't do well on defense, but I do expect them to have a good game plan defensively, and we just got to counter that by out coaching them as well.
All right. Well, that was really all the questions I had. I was just kind of curious about that, and good luck this weekend.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Hey, Coach Jones, this is Anthony over at Shaw now. I had two questions for you. First of all, would your perception of the season change with the win on Saturday? I know you was talking about it may have been what you wanted it to be, but would your perception of it change after Saturday with a win?
Absolutely. You know, you don't want to be 4-6. You know, last 3 years we've had winning seasons. That was our goal no matter what. But being 4-4 in the conference is a momentum going into the next year, and it helps out recruiting. You know, it's always hard to recruit kids and say, yeah, come to this university and you're not winning a lot of football games. So it's very key that we win this football game. And like you said, it's bragging rights. So I you know, it's not the end of the day. You know, we've been here before. I've coached for 20 plus years and have not been a winning coach for 20 plus years. You got to go back to the drawing board and figure things out. But I think it's a great tool for us to win a football game to get the momentum going into 2023.
Okay. And another question is, this is just sort of a general question. You know, Sean St. Aug, you know, as far as the rivalry, the Raleigh Classic, you know, it was titled this a few years ago. You know, the game is slowly gaining momentum in the community. But you know, I look at some of the other games, some of the other rivalries and classics, and I mean, it's definitely the attention is definitely elevated. So just your opinion, what do you think that how do you think or what way could the Raleigh Classic elevate its image to where, say, maybe one day, and this is, you know, maybe dreaming down the line, maybe one day you can take it and play it at Carter Finley?
It depends on, you know, we got to promote it better. We got to, you know, it's both sides, as Coach Bowser, me, the athletic directors on both sides, the presidents. It's got to be pubbed more. You know, it's got to be an importance about, you know, the universities, you know, getting out there, you know, talking a little junk with each other, you know, making it exciting. You know, I can tell you that it has evolved for me. I never really, I'm be honest, I didn't look at it as a rival game until after we lost last year. And I watched how those guys bragged about it. I watched how Coach Bowser had the trophy sitting on his desk, you know, taking pictures of it every day. It intensified right then and there. You know, I'm excited about playing in it, and nothing more than I want to do is beat them. You know, it is intensified, and you need those type of things like that to intensify it. I can assure you that, you know, we win that football game, that picture of that trophy is going to go on my social media page for about a good month just to antagonize Coach Bowser. Great friend of mine, but he has opened up a can of worms.
I was going to ask you about that if you was going to do the same. You know, you win the game on Saturday, so you already answered that. So
absolutely, but I credit him for promoting it. But those are the things, like you said, those are the things you have to do. Show how important that rivalry is. People don't realize until they actually come to Shaw and say, "Oh, how close we are." We're within a 2-mile radius of each other, and you know, we're in basically the same neighborhood, and you know, we want to rep our colors, they want to rep their colors, but we want to keep that advantage. We want to be 4-2 against St. Aug since I've been here. That is our plan, and we're going to be ready for them on Saturday.
Okay, then. Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Coach, I actually want to follow up on that. Last year in this game, one of the ways that St. Aug stayed in the game was turnovers. And that's kind of an identity for them on defense. When they have been in games, a lot of it has been through turnovers. What do you say to the guys this year about taking care of the ball to not make it easy for St. Aug?
Well, you know, of course, we usually watch our opponent that we played we'll watch film on St. Aug from last year on Wednesday and just show them the things that we did. You know, they blocked the punt. We hadn't had a punt blocked all year. They blocked the punt, scooped it, and scored. They got the momentum. You know, we threw a couple interceptions. We got the run game going, but we let them get ahead of us and was playing catch-up ball. And it's very important that we don't do that. It's very important that we go out there, sustain drives. Our defense is top-notch defense when we keep them off the field. And they're able to go over to the sideline, get a little rest, and adjust. So we want a game plan, making sure that we control the clock and making sure that we keep the offense on the field as much as possible.
And I think as a follow-up to that too, because even last week against Livingstone, that St. Aug was in that game all the way until the very end, where, you know, it kind of just reinforces the start that, you know, as long as they're able to hang around, they're going to make ways to, especially at, you know, with a crowd that may be coming, with them being it's a rivalry game, they seem to really thrive in those really, really close games.
Tough team to beat when it's, like you said, it's a close game. Like, you know, Bowie State, you know, who would have thought that they were going to be in the game with Bowie State, and they were in the game until late in the fourth quarter. So, you know, we've done our research. You know, they're young. You know, they take some bumps and bruises. You know, my hat goes off to Coach Bowser, even though their record doesn't show. He still has those guys believing, and that's the key being a head coach. It ain't all about winning football games all the time. It's about developing young men and getting them to understand that, you know, you got to learn how to lose if you want to win. And at the end of the day, we got to go in there and play, once again, Shaw football, and not, you know, get into a fussing match, or, you know, something good is going to happen, you know, but when something bad happens, how do we react when something bad happens, you know, and our track record, you know, when some bad things happen to us, we don't adjust very well. So we got to make sure that we learn how to adjust when things don't go our way.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.